everyone, and welcome to Community Spotlight, exclusively here on Astound ATVN. So glad you could join us. I'm Dan Mowdy. Well, we have a very special guest here tonight for a very special reason. The little town of Bethlehem that resides in the east side of Pennsylvania has just gotten some big news, and it's only a few weeks old. And that is, it is now an official United Nations UNESCO site, a World Heritage Site that brings all kinds of focus and attention from the entire globe. Here to share with the good news is J. William Reynolds. He is the mayor of Bethlehem, and we're so happy to have you on board for this, Mayor. Welcome.
It is great to be here. This is a celebration not just for our city, but for our community, for our region, for the Lehigh Valley, and for Pennsylvania and our country. So it's a thrilling moment for our city, and it's great to be here to talk about it.
I think right up front, I want to put some perspective on this, because there are some other World Heritage Sites in the USA. 25 before Bethlehem was added. We're talking about the Empire State Building. We're talking about Jefferson's Monticello. I mean, we're talking about high-ranking places, and here's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania with its Moravian Church Settlement right there in the mix.
Yeah, and it's you are talking about the most famous places in the United States, places like Yellowstone National Park. And what makes Bethlehem special, I think, is what people understand that makes the Lehigh Valley special. And it was really those values and those concepts that the Moravians brought to us in 1741 with the founding of our city. The ideas of fairness and equality and community. Those are not unique to the Moravians, but they are a part of the Lehigh Valley's fabric. And that's what the world is recognizing right now, is the idea that we have a special community that was built by the Moravians almost 300 years ago, that has led to this special vibe, as we say, within the Lehigh Valley and within our city. And that's really the core of who we are, and that was the core of our nomination. And now that's going to be something that's going to be recognized by the world forever.
You know, I look at this as this changes everything moment for the long history of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We're talking about the early to mid 1700s that the Moravians appeared and immediately went to town. They wanted to build an ideal city for that age. And I think they achieved that. It's amazing, some of the architectural marvels and the buildings that not only still stand today, but are also in use every day today.
They are. And I mean, we do have some buildings that are the first of their kind in the United States. We have the waterworks and we have the tannery. We always say this is about more than the buildings. This is about the people that have been here for almost 300 years. But as I said, it's those values, it's those concepts. And I always say you can get every part of American history within the city of Bethlehem. You have the colonial history, which we're talking about. Then you have industrial history with Bethlehem Steel. And now we have post-industrial history. So what we're doing is we sold that to the world. And we told people, like, if you're looking at that American experience, if you're looking at that idea of the founding of America, that idea of community, that's what Bethlehem is all about. But you are correct in that those buildings are still used today. And when people come down, you see them, and they're used for offices, they're used for meetings, they're faith places, they're the fabric and the backbone of our community, and they're right in the center of it, which is really unique about the way our city has been built out. It didn't go east to west, it was started in the middle and it went outward. And it's part of the reason why Bethlehem is such a high quality place to live.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just, you stumble upon buildings that are 250, 300 years old as you're walking through some of the most beautiful walkways and sidewalks and roadways through the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. Take us back, Mayor, if you would. I know it kind of precedes what a lot of the folks who are involved today were doing, but this has been a long-standing effort for many, many years, and there were some founders that really dug in deep in order to get this effort going.
Yeah, you could say this started 283 years ago, but the modern effort here started about 25 years ago. And at the time, Mayor Cunningham and Charlene Donchez Mowers, who was probably the person that deserves more credit than anybody else, it's a testament to her dedication, to her commitment. She was the executive director at Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites. And she had this idea about 24 years ago, and sat down with Mayor Cunningham and started this journey that's gone through 4 mayors, gone through hundreds, if not thousands of people helping out, and the institutions that are central to who we are. Central Moravian Church, HBMS, as I said, the Bethlehem area Moravians, the city, Moravian University, that have worked for over 20 years to get to this point where we're inscribed. And it's been a lot of hard work. As I say, I'm only the latest person here to be carrying this baton baton, but we just can't thank Charlene and all of the people over the past 20-some years that really laid all the groundwork to be able to get to this magical moment.
And you mentioned the organizations that took the ball and got, I was going to say, across the goal line with it. And they did such an amazing job of working their strengths and filling the gaps, and it was all right here within the Bethlehem community.
It is, and I mean, it really, I mean, we have three property owners here: the City of Bethlehem, Moravian University, and the Bethlehem area Moravians. And Moravian University and the Bethlehem area Moravians have maintained these buildings for almost 300 years. So it wasn't something that even their current leadership started. It was only because we've had generations of people that have maintained these properties within the City of Bethlehem that allowed us to get to this moment. And the city's partnership with Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites, who helps to maintain buildings like the tannery and the waterworks, allowed those buildings to be maintained. You can't rebuild these buildings and get them into the World Heritage. They have to be the original buildings. So it's really a testament to all of those incredible preservation efforts over almost 300 years that got us to this point, by which we are able to work our different channels and work with the other countries to be able to get this nomination to become a reality.
It's an amazing place. I mean, just when I first moved here, right after college years, and just to see the historic value that takes place right there in the heart of the city. I mean, it's historic. It also shows you a little bit of how industry was back then, how housing was back then. And these are buildings that are still in use today. There's so much to talk about here, Mayor, and we're so glad you're here. We're going to talk some more about it here in just a bit. Again, it's the UNESCO World Heritage Site declaration made in Delhi, India in July this year that gives Moravian this designation and makes it truly a diamond here in the United States of America. We're going to talk more. Stay with us on Community Spotlight. And you're back with us here on Community Spotlight. Bethlehem's Moravian Church Settlement, now one of 4 Moravian Church Settlements worldwide that is listed among UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. Dan Mowdy along with Mayor J. William Reynolds, as he likes to be called, Willie. I appreciate that. Mayor, tell us a little bit about what this announcement was all about. It took place in Delhi, India, of all places. Yeah. It encompassed Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and a couple of European sites as well. Tell us a little bit more about it.
One of the things that was special about our nomination is that it was a transnational nomination. And it was the only transnational nomination before the World Heritage Committee. So we have 3 other Moravian settlements in Grace Hill, Northern Ireland, Christiansfeld, Denmark, and Herrnhut, Germany. And we've been working together for years to be able to get our transnational nomination ready. And at the World Heritage meeting in July in India was when we were on the agenda, and it was.
And it just so happened that India drew the card to host it that year.
Yeah. Those are conversations that mayors aren't a part of about where they get to host it. But it was really amazing, and you're in this room with just 140, 150 other countries and their representatives from their state departments and from their governments, talking about all of these amazing sites throughout the world, and being on the floor, being with representatives of the United States government, of the State Department, who were working as hard as they could to make sure that we were going to get a vote and make sure that we were going to be inscribed. That the moment when they went through this, and it was in this big meeting room, and there's just hundreds of people in there, and everyone's got their name cards for all the different countries. Yeah. And the moment then when they voted unanimously to inscribe us as a site it was thrilling. And then afterwards, you had all these representatives from countries throughout the world coming up and congratulating us and our partners, and talking about how special it was to be able to see this spirit of collaboration, of cooperation between the 4 countries. As I said, we were the only transnational nomination. There were a bunch of individual country nominations that were wonderful, but especially in 2024, it was that message of people coming together from across the ocean to be able to share something together. And we got transcribed together, so we are now married forever. And it is, and it was thrilling to be there. It was thrilling to be a part of it, and it's a feeling that's hard to describe.
UNESCO started this effort, the World Heritage Site, basically a preservation effort, a conservation effort to make sure that these amazing treasures are always here for future generations to enjoy. But it started like in the mid-70s, I believe it was. Now, how did this unique idea to join up with one Moravian settlement site that had been accepted, Denmark, and saying, hey, what about us? We've got the same treasure here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Those conversations had been going on for years between the different sites. There were some different visits from officials from Bethlehem to Europe and from Europe to Bethlehem. They were just building and building and building. There was the decision made that for Christiansfeld to move ahead in 2015, in which point they became an inscribed site. And then we kind of built on to them. But they've been wonderful as in thinking that the power of their site, it's magnified by people coming in and joining. And that's the special thing about the Moravians, is that it's about community. It's not just about what's best for them. It's about how do we make sure that we build a community where we're taking care of each other. So then after Christiansfeld became inscribed in 2015, over the past 9 years, multiple mayors, multiple different institutional heads of these different organizations kept working together to think, how do we work our way through the process to be able to get on that list and be able to be nominated.
That missionary evangelical spirit really is what made it happen back in the 1700s. You can see that each one of these settlements is separated by maybe 10 or 15 years of when it was established. And the Moravians just did that. They went to foreign places they didn't know much about, and they just established goodwill and set up their presence in those areas to spread the good word, it sounds like.
And one of the amazing things about talking to these leaders from these other areas is how similar they are to the people that we know in the city of Bethlehem and the people that we associate with the Moravian Church and just our community, is that even though they have different cultures, they're living in different countries, there are certain central tenets of who they are as people that when you talk to them, you're like, this very much feels like what that communal vibe is in the city of Bethlehem. But you're completely right. And it set us, we've changed a lot in almost 300 years. Obviously with Bethlehem Steel, we welcomed immigrants from all over the world to work in the steel. First generation immigrants that didn't speak any English, that followed the American dream. But it started with the Moravians, with creating a community that was accessible and inclusive for all people to come to.
And here we're almost describing Moravian not just as a religion, but as a culture, and a welcoming culture. And today, that carries out all the way to this designation where you're welcoming more people to the area to see what the Moravians have done with the city of Bethlehem.
And the word we use is inclusive. And everybody that's associated with the Moravian Church that I know is incredibly humble. And I mean, humility is one of those characteristics. And it's, we always say is like the Moravians don't have a monopoly on those characteristics. And we have people of every religion in our community who care about things like fairness and equality and community. The Moravians were the ones who just founded our city. But it's a true opportunity for us as a city to be able to bring in all 78,000 people to celebrate those ideals for whatever problems and challenges we have going forward, independent of World Heritage. Like, we are on this World Heritage list partly because we have lived up to those ideals of the Moravians. Now it's on us in the coming decades to build a community and build a city that reflect those ideals.
I understand your team was responsible for the website, and it's a great one. I definitely recommend everybody go to it, even while you're watching the show here. MoravianChurchSettlements.org, covering all 4 of the Moravian settlements throughout the world. And there's going to be a celebration involved here, I understand, come mid-October.
Absolutely. We are hosting these 3 other countries who are coming on October 16th and October 17th for a series of events. There are going to be some ceremonial signings. We are already official World Heritage Site, but we're going to be welcoming dignitaries, state departments from the 3 other countries to the city of Bethlehem. And it's very important to us, or I should say reflective of our place in this nomination, that the other countries wanted us to host it. They wanted to come to the city. They wanted to come to Bethlehem to be able to celebrate this here. So on October 16th and 17th, we're welcoming all these different dignitaries from these other countries to kind of kick this off in a way that we can cherish forever.
Well, don't plan to stray October 16th or the 17th if you're here in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. And if you're from outside the area, please come on in and see what we're talking about. Mayor J. William Reynolds is our guest. We'll be back to talk more about this amazing designation and what it's going to mean, because that's the big question. How are things going to change for the city of Bethlehem? Stay with us on Community Spotlight. And you're back with us on Community Spotlight. You know, I have friends that love to tour Major League Baseball parks, and they're pretty busy this time of year trying to get them all in their lifetime. Well, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and the Moravian Church Settlement there is now the 26th such UNESCO site in the USA. Mayor J. Reynolds, I'm wondering, is that going to be a new thing now to try to cross off those boxes and go see all of the 26 in the USA, including Bethlehem?
Yeah, there's definitely people out there that do that and that are going to do that, not just the United States, but throughout the world. So I think we're going to have some of those people that are come to Bethlehem that are like, I've never been here before, but you showed up in this list. I've been to everywhere else. And like you said, like baseball stadiums, when you open a new stadium, you're like, I got to go to Seattle, I got to go to Cleveland, I got to go wherever it is. So I think it's going to be one piece of the group of people that are coming to the city.
Absolutely. We talked about how this changes everything. What are some of the things that you and your team at the city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania are seeing as far as like city planning goes and maybe some of the occupations that you'll need more of to fill?
Yeah, we really look at it as the next chapter of the Lehigh Valley's kind of revitalization, or the incredible kind of economic activity that's going on in both the city and the region. Yeah. This is not just about the city of Bethlehem, it's about the Lehigh Valley. We have had a huge partner in Northampton County. County Executive McClure has been a huge help. The county council has supported us financially, allowing us to be able to pay for a lot of the expenses over the last several years. And one of the conversations that we have over and over with Executive McClure is why this is so good for the Lehigh Valley and for the region. We already welcome a lot of people to the city of Bethlehem. We have Music Fest, which welcomes over 1 million people a year, even when it rains a few days. So like we have the infrastructure to be able to welcome people. Yeah. We have people coming for conventions. The airport's never been busier. So this is really the next chapter in what the Lehigh Valley can be and how we can welcome people to the city. So one of the things that we're going to do now is really do a lot of that long-term planning. Is, you know, this is not about a year or 2 years or 5 years. This is about forever. So we're going to do that long-term planning to be able to build a sustainable site, both financially financially and also just from an institutional level. What are the type of things that we need to make sure that we can do to maintain the site, especially if we're going to welcome more people? Yeah. But we're digging into that. We're working with the Discovery Lehigh Valley to think about what those costs might be, and those are things that we should have some better answers for in the next couple months.
Sounds amazing. I know stewardship is a huge part of what UNESCO is looking for. Locally, regionally, nationally as well. It sounds like you've got some great support, being that the State Department had representatives at the announcement. As far as the economic impact, do you see that being wide-ranging as well? Yeah,
I think there's two pieces of that. One is we're absolutely going to have some more tourists. We're going to have some people from Europe. We're going to have some people from throughout the United States that are like, I want to check out the Lehigh Valley. I want to check out Bethlehem. Yeah. But even for people here within the Lehigh Valley, even within the city, it just raises us to a new level. It's a new level of pride. It's a new level of activity. It's a new level of just like, this is the place that we're from. So I think you're going to see more and more people that are going to want to see that story. So I'm just, it could be Moravian parents, it could be Lehigh parents that are in for the weekend and say, I want to take this tour. I want to go check out these buildings. I want to see what's going on down at Steel Stacks or National Museum of Industrial History. We have to design something that just takes into account all of the destinations we have in the city of Bethlehem to be able to welcome people, but we're going to do that. We already do that now, and this just kind of gives us another opportunity to do that.
And the synergy, tell us a little bit about that exists between the 4 sites, the one in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and then the 3 in Europe.
Yeah, so our partners in Northern Ireland, Denmark, and Germany, we work super closely together. We've had a lot of the same consultants. We've worked on the same documents to be able to build something that has both similarities between all 4 of the sites, but also is respectful of our own cultural differences. To be able to, no matter which of the 4 sites, there is a piece of the Moravian experience that you are getting. So we've had incredible cooperation there. And then on the local level, I just mentioned Northampton County, but our partnership with Moravian University, with the Bethlehem Moravians, with Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites, and Central Moravian Church has been a huge part. All of those institutions have been completely behind this nomination. And without that collaboration, this wouldn't have happened. So I just can't say thank you enough to all of those organizations as well.
Have you been receiving confirmation of this, or I should say recognition of this, from entities outside the area that have a particular interest in what's going on here?
I mean, it's, once we were inscribed, I had gotten a bunch of phone calls, text messages from a lot of different elected officials in particular. Our Congresswoman Susan Wild was super happy about this. Governor Shapiro had been in a couple weeks ago and he was excited about this. I mean, people are excited about this, that have anything to do with the Lehigh Valley. And as we build this out, as we celebrate it more, as it becomes another one of those things that people mention about the Lehigh Valley, we all know what those things are. I'm not going to start mentioning them because I don't want to forget any. But when people think about the Lehigh Valley, like what are those things, those first things that come to mind? And one of them is going to be that we have a World Heritage Site right here in the region. Absolutely.
And Mayor, we're showing the contact information, again, the website to learn more about this. And there's so many facets to it. MoravianChurchSettlements.org. If you're a history buff, if you're into religion and theology, if you're into architecture, just to see the way things were done. The fact that Bethlehem has the oldest operating, or at least at one time operating, but still able to be toured, water distribution in the USA. It was first done in Bethlehem, and you can see how it was done by just going and visiting. I mean, there's so much to offer here.
There is, and it was the first in America, and it's an opportunity to come and hear those stories. But also see about how we have built on as a community. That is still like the central part of who we are, and that history can be seen by anybody. I mean, no matter where you're living in Bethlehem, it doesn't take a long time to get down to that colonial industrial corridor. But it is it's a special part of our history. It's a special part of American history. As I said, you can get any part of American history in Bethlehem, and obviously this is a huge part of that.
And might I recommend a place to stay? Hotel Bethlehem?
Yes.
Yet again, number one in the country?
Absolutely. As far as a historic hotel and a place that people want to come to, it has been and that's part of our story too. I mean, 25 years ago that was closed. As Don Cunningham says, it was mothballed, and now it is open and it's vibrant, and it is another symbol of our revitalization about who we are as a city.
We've had an amazing string of wonderful mayors, and I count you among them for sure. J. William Reynolds, the mayor of Bethlehem in Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's been wonderful to be here. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, folks. I hope you get to the website again. It's MoravianChurchSettlements.org. I'm Dan Mowdy. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Good night.